You know, my favourite thing when we have the beautiful Rita Panahi here is to get her to read articles that I know she doesn't want to read. And one of these, we missed this for a while, right? And while maths isn't around, I can still do this to you here, which is in the United States, NPR, their version of public broadcasting.
That's terrible.
It is. And that's why they all whisper like this. Thank you so much and for listening to Paul Murray Live today. Joining us is author, broadcaster and intellectual Rita Panahi. You know, I mean, the whisper radio style, right? The one they desperately try to do here and, you know, Auntie Fran does every morning, every now and then. But the suggestion is the best way to move forward is to get rid of those evil white men who wrote books. Get rid of those books, get them off the shelves, decolonise your bookshelf. Rita, how far into this article that I sent you before the froth started to build, before the bubbles started to boil in the blood?
Family and the village you came from, I think, by about the third part. So, and it only got worse from there. I think by the end there was a fatwa and several other threats against you from me. Look, this nonsense, we've seen it before. You know, you could encourage people to read more widely, but they don't want to do that because that's not sexy enough. So they come up with things like decolonise your bookshelf, which is, you know, why don't we just have a book burning session and burn all those problematic books written by problematic white men? I mean, it's just stupid. And, you know, if some of the great works happen to be written by white men, then appreciate it. I think, why deny yourself great literature because of the gender or the colour of the skin of the author? Isn't that in itself utterly insane? I do not understand it. And I know there's been a push in some schools to get rid of Shakespeare and have text that is more relatable to a diverse population. And I think that really robs diverse populations of the magic of Shakespeare, of reading something that is as timeless. So, yeah, I'm not a fan, and I did curse you a few times reading that awful piece.
I love you, though. Hugs. You know, I'll send you a link of hugs in a moment or two, emoji form and all. Nicholas, is it true that one of the secrets to your svelte figure is having to keep up with the wokeness? Is to keep the running, to make sure that you can, like Indiana Jones with that giant ball that was rolling down behind him, to make sure you don't get caught up in it. You got to always stay in front. At Melbourne University, do you ask people whether or not the texts that they're being forced to read are sort of too white or not? Is there about to be a purge at the library?
No, I mean, look, Mark Latham keeps me on my toes. You know, earlier tonight I was being asked about drag queen story time, and I had to quickly think on my feet and work out what I'd make of something like that. So, look, I've always got people like Mark to keep me on my feet. At the universities, it's there's a lot of respect for the great canons of Western literature and great works, many of which, as readers rightly pointed out, have been written by white males. There is also, of course, the need to ensure that people do have a broad perspective, and you do get that by reading great works of literature written by people of different backgrounds. You know, we all remember, as you know, as a young person, all the magic of when you read a book that really transports you somewhere and makes you see the world in a different way, perhaps from a different perspective. And the truth is, when you read books that have been written by people who have had a different life experience to you, have a different lens on the world to you, that can give you a different perspective and make you a better person as a result. So look, I'm actually all for diversity in reading lists. I think that's a good thing.
Well, I know the scales fell off my eyes when the Latham diaries were read to me personally by Mark Latham. He sat me down and said, listen here, son, you need to get a few things straight. And you know what? Right. I'm happy for that book to be front and centre in my learning world. But honestly, Mark, you know this bullshit's going to come here. You know that someone somewhere at some university is going to turn around and say that, you know, that certain people, no, they can't be there because they were of a time, of a thinking. This nonsense will kick in. Of course, it's like Antifa, right? Like, they're the fascists, right? But they're the ones fighting the fascists, so they're allowed to get away with it.
Well, Paul, it's very unfair and hard on me. I can't decolonise my bookshelves because most of the books there are written by me. So if I throw my own books out, I've got to leave the house. So I can't do that. But, you know, the lefties are very confused about all this because as a white man, shouldn't I just have, according to their doctrine of cultural appropriation, shouldn't I just have white man books on my shelves? Because to get a black man or black woman's book on there, don't I have to ask their permission under the Edict of Cultural Appropriation? Like if I got Stan Grant's book with the 358th telling of his family story, wouldn't I have to get permission from Stan to do that? So they've got me dazed and confused. I can't understand what the hell's going on.
I don't know how we're supposed to keep up with this stuff, but we try.